Okay, so you've just installed OBS Studio and you're now faced with this application in front of you that you have no idea how it works. So, we're going to talk about the interface and what everything you see on screen right now does for you and your streams. So why not start from the start? We're going to go right to the top left and take a look at this toolbar at the top here. These are some of the main menus and functions that you are going to be using all the time when you use OBS Studio. So let's get used to them and figure out what they do. So we're going to click on the first option here, which is File. Now, in this File drop-down menu, you will be able to see your recordings. If you record anything inside OBS Studio, click Show Recordings, and it will take you to the folder where all of your recordings are. Remux recordings will re-encode an old recording. It's basically a video converter. We'll come on to more of that as and when we need it. Settings is obviously your application settings. Show settings folder. Now this is where all the data for your settings is kept. I personally would suggest never touching this because you can really mess up the application settings by going into this folder and changing any of the values. So stay away from there. Stay away from the profile folder as well. Again, it's just folder data and it won't really affect anything you do or the stream looks like. Always on top. Now, this is a good setting to enable if you always want OBS Studio to be the top window on your display. And then obviously exit will take you out of the application. Onto the second drop-down menu, which is Edit. Now, this is basically when you right-click on a source that you add, these are all of the options that you'll have when you right-click on that source. So if we go to Edit, and you can see there's Undo, Redo. If you make any mistakes, you want to go back and forth, you use Undo and Redo. Copy and paste filters. Transform. Now, there's so many options in this Transform drop-down menu that will help you manipulate your sources, images, and video. You can see we've got rotation of 90 degrees, 180 degrees, flipping sources horizontally and vertically, centering things on screen. So this is very helpful when you want to make sure that your columns on either side match in width. And yeah, very good manipulation tools here in Transform. Order sends things up and down in the order, back to front. Preview scaling helps you preview what it will look like in a certain scale. Here, it's scaled to window or scaled to 16:9 ratio. To be honest, I don't know anybody who's used this very much. Just stay away from this setting if you don't know exactly what it does. Lock preview means that you can change nothing on the preview screen. And then advanced audio properties. This is where you'll go to change the settings of your audio input devices. So that would be a microphone, it could be your computer's sound, and you can change whether it's mono or stereo. If you've got audio delay, you can change the offset. If you want to hear yourself whilst you're speaking into the microphone, you can add monitoring, which is when you can hear all of your audio feedback through your headset. So obviously right now we haven't installed any audio devices, so it doesn't show anything, but this is where you'll come when you want to change your audio settings. Next drop-down menu is your profile. Now, this is basically your profile settings. You can import and export settings as you wish. This is specifically helpful if you are going to use OBS Studio on another device and you want to export all of your settings. So if I've got OBS Studio to a point where I'm happy with it, it's working very well, and I want to also stream on OBS Studio on my laptop, I will export all of my settings to a file, move that file to my laptop, and then import it on my laptop to copy all of those settings. Scene collection. Now, scene collection is very important. Basically, a scene collection is an entire database of your stream. But you can have more than one collection. So at the moment, we are on scene collection tutorials. Think of this as like one stream document. Inside that, it holds all of my information, my scenes, my files for my tutorials streams. Now, I've got another one down here called WWTBAM. Don't worry about the name, it's just a different scene collection. If I click on that, it's going to load all of the streaming files, all of the OBS files for that collection. So let's click on that. It's going to give me this script log, don't worry about that. But what it has done is load all of my scenes, my sources, everything to do with that specific collection, it has loaded. Now, if I go back to tutorials, it will just wipe it all because currently my tutorials collection has nothing in it. So this is very handy for if you stream different topics or games. Let's say you have a different overlay for your Call of Duty streams and you have a different overlay for your Fortnite streams. You can have them in two separate collections and they don't have to step on each other's toes in terms of files and data overload. So very helpful there, the scene collection. Tools, this is where all of your plugins are going to appear. Now, we will just kind of leave this for the moment. I'm not going to go into too much depth because in the advanced section of this mastery course, I'm going to teach you all about plugins. So let's hold on to this tools for a little bit later on. Stream Effects is another plugin. This will not appear in your OBS Studio when you load it up. It's just there for me because I already have the plugin installed. And then of course help. You can get help via the website. The OBS Studio Discord server is very, very helpful as well. Now, one particular menu that I skipped was view, and that's because we're actually going to do a little bit of manipulation on screen right now. View will change all of these little bits that you see on screen. So you see you've got scenes in the bottom left here, sources, audio mixer, scene transitions, controls. These are all what we call docks. And docks are little boxes, little features that can be moved around the screen. If I click this little minimize, maximize button here, it will actually pop out the dock and I can move this scenes menu around. I can pop it to the top here. Nah, doesn't look that good, does it? So I'm going to drag it back off and I'm going to put it back in the bottom left-hand corner next to sources. I can make them wider. I can make them shorter. In this case, not so much because of the position, but you normally can. And I can drag and drop any of these to anywhere I want on screen to basically design my very own application, especially the way it looks. Let me put that controls back down in the bottom right. There we go. Now, these aren't the only docks that you can use. If we go into view and we go docks, you'll see that there are actually additional docks. So let's click on stats. And it's going to pop out this window which will show you the statistics of your OBS Studio usage, specifically CPU usage, FPS rate, average time to render. This can be vital information, especially when you are having lagging issues or you're skipping frames or your computer's acting incredibly slow. This information can be really helpful to know to help you overcome those issues. So sometimes some people like to have stats on their application. I might drag it to the top here, have it at the top whilst my preview's here. It's a little bit big, so let's make it a tiny bit smaller. Hey presto, you're moving docks and you are designing your very own application. Now, if I get rid of something, or let's say I accidentally pop out sources and it disappears by sources, I can just go into view, I can go into docks, and I can click sources and re-click it again, and it will appear back in the application. I can obviously then drag it back into where it belongs. Now, you also have multi-view full screen. This will help you see all of your screens on your one monitor. It's a little bit complicated. I would stay away from it for now. We'll go into it in more detail towards the end of the course. And of course, you can tick and untick your sources, docks, as and when you like. And that's the OBS Studio interface. It's a little bit overbearing once you first get in, but if you just have a play around with that view drop-down menu and your scene collections, it's actually very, very simple and makes a lot of sense.